Melissa Bartlett. And your boy, Kerry Bixby. It's your show. So tell us what you want to talk about. It's that The Round Table podcast show.
Man, I swear that's pretty dope intro right there, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it dope because you did it?
No, it's dope.
Dope?
When you see that profile of A Money come across like that, boy. Do you see Pitbull with a head to the side like this?
Let me do A Money.
That's not an accurate rendition, but we'll roll with that anyway.
That's not accurate.
So how my family doing today?
Man, yeah.
We doing. It's a Wednesday, and
yes,
you know, I'm home. I'm in the Berg today, family. So it's all good. It's a lot of what you talk about to talk about today, huh?
Man, yeah, it is.
Most
a lot
certainly
of what
is.
we're talking about today. But before we talk about it, we're gonna introduce the man, the myth, the legend, the dude with the Barry White voice that makes you just. It is A Money, Adrian Biddle.
Thank you. Appreciate the intro. Yeah, today is going to be an interesting show.
Yes.
I am certainly looking forward to it. And the young lady to my left on the screen, the one, the only, the missus of the show, the lady of truth, the madam of the knowledge.
Wow.
It's her, it's she, it's the one, the only, Miss Pitbull.
Hey.
Thank you. What is going on, my brothers? What's going on to our ATRT family? Girl Pitbull here on a Wednesday. You know, I was looking forward to it. I needed to connect. Excited about the show tonight. A lot of opinions. I'll just say that. About some of the things that we're going to be talking about. So yeah, can't wait. And can't wait to hear what my brothers, have to do and chime in on this from a male perspective. So, and can't forget my brother, who is the orchestra. He is the keyboard. Boop, 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 boop. He's the one that do it all. He throws all kinds of monkey wrenches and hurdles, and he stirs the drink while you trying to catch it all. CD, culture, media.
All right, man.
Mr. Digsby.
Oh man, got more. Okay. Hey, how A Money say it? What is going on, family? I'm telling you, it is so good to be here this evening, especially with my brother and my sister. It means a lot on Wednesdays when we can all get together. I long for these days. And even when we're off, which we were last week, just to be able to go back and watch the shows and just listen to the things that these two be saying, I'm telling you, boy, I get fed. It is totally amazing to me. And then I get questions, well, are y'all really like that? I'm gonna tell you, even in person when we're together, it's an adventure. We well, I can tell you some stories, boy, with the three of us get together and some things.
It is not a show. I give A Money just as much hell in person as I do on this podcast. Trust me. So the only time and the only person that would make me back down is Queen T. That's it. Anybody else, you're gonna have to just deal with it, okay?
Oh, dang.
Oh yeah.
Trap is on. Hey, Mr. Trap.
Hey,
what's going on?
Appreciate that.
That hero right there. What's going on,
sir.
brother?
Yes, sir. There she go.
Terry said, drop it. Closing, opening, closing, back to back. Wow. Putting it in like Flynn. Man.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Did she say from her ghetto workplace?
She said from her ghetto workplace.
She did. She
Uh,
had to workplace. She sure did.
all
Mhm.
right now. All right, bring the class up in there. Bring the class.
I know that's right. Man, oh man. Well, y'all, tonight, I'm gonna tell you, family is or what you talking about Wednesday. So, Trav, Terry, since you came on, I want you to go ahead. We want you to go ahead and share this show with everyone that you come in contact with on social media, because any topic you bring up, we're gonna bring it to the table. And no, it ain't the red table. It is the At the Round Table podcast show.
You know it.
Mm-mm.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I feel something. I feel something stirring up in the shot now. Who's gonna start it off?
I I don't know. I think last week and just the Monday and Tuesday, I think we've had some very newsworthy uh or I should say news noteworthy
Mhm.
topics. Um and all of my queens out there, um it's amazing that I look at my daughters and my younger cousins that are girls and friends' daughters that may not have the choice and the options
Mm.
that I had. It in 2022 with everyone being so woke and so enlightened on things that maybe were insensitively done or said, or just sheer ignorance from the 80s and 90s and early 2000s. And now we at 2022. And you
Mhm.
going to tell me that some old white men on the hill are trying to force
we can't
women.
say all right. It's some
So the old white men that impose and make
Uh-oh.
rules. How about that? Is that better?
it's a
Ooh.
little bit of everybody sprinkled in on that
Ooh.
side.
Mm.
But I feel you.
That they can tell me what I could do in my body as a woman,
Mm.
as a female. Um, it's amazing how we can get laws and no kind of any hindrance going straight to the
Mhm.
floor to get it passed
Mm.
or overturned.
Mhm.
But you still got rapists and pedophiles and sex offenders and all of this, and it
Mhm.
seems like you can't really figure it out. You have these big busts in the ring, but you can't really figure out what happens, and you don't know what's going on. You can't put any laws in place that help deter this type of behavior. But this is what you want to resurf, revisit.
Mm.
Crazy, crazy. I cannot even imagine. I
Mhm.
am in awe, literally, that we are even discussing this. Like, we literally gonna have to. I'm gonna tell you now.
Mhm.
They say that this is a man's world, but
This
women
is a
make it go
man's
around.
world.
Uh-oh. Oh, wait. What was that? Hey, money?
This is a man's world.
We make it go around, and if all the women in the world would unify and say, if you pass this bill, we sitting down. I want to see how long and how much you get done.
Mm.
Hmm.
Can you imagine a worldwide protest? Yeah, and I feel it coming.
Oh, I feel a movement coming too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh, yeah.
I had to admit, so the expound on it is they're going to. The first draft is talking about rescinding that particular um,
Roe versus
law.
Wade.
Yes. So if it does take place, it's going to bring it back to the state's
Mhm.
decision on whether or not they want to.
Individuals.
Uh-huh. And that's the interesting part right there. I think I was reading a couple of days ago when it first hit the news. There's probably about like 20 states that's already ready and willing to go ahead and pass laws to make it illegal to have an abortion, and we're talking about without exemptions to rape,
No exemptions.
incest, or any other, even the health of the mother, even if she's giving birth, she could possibly die. They're still talking about those exemptions not being ratified with the particular laws that they may be considering. That's the scary thing.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I know I was talking to my wife about it just the other evening when it first broke news
Mm.
um, about the leak, which is a whole different
I'm so
animal.
glad somebody did
Ooh,
it. Mm-mm. You know that was probably a sister girl.
ooh.
Let it go.
Boy, when they dropped that, we were just like, wow. And like I was telling my wife, it's ironic because in September of 2021, Texas
Yep.
passed that bill.
Yep.
And I knew then, I said, that's going to be the predecessor or the precursor rather of what's about to happen. So like in Texas, they made it in which, you can't. I mean, well, let me reword it. Basically, it bans a person from like providing an abortion inducing type drug. And it's like certain time limit as well. So a lot of people, it was interesting because a lot of women were leaving Texas to go to other states in order to do it. And Texas is one of the states that you mentioned, bro, that as soon if this thing changes, they're one of the first states that are going to make it illegal. Um,
So let me pose this question, and I know it's a reach. So what's the difference in people having say of what goes in their body as far as vaccines in comparison to what a woman wants to have done within her body?
hmm. Wow. That's a good question.
Being a vaccinated person,
Hmm.
I,
it's
I
about
mean,
it's about choice. I'm just saying, like,
exactly.
it's
Mhm.
about choice. I am not. I feel it's unfair for a lot of the companies who did the massive terminations because their employees did not get vaccinated. I feel that it was totally, to me, unethical, but they got away with it.
Hmm.
And you always have to look at why something's done. So if you don't think that what you just said doesn't have to do with this, I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought it up. It definitely has to do with it. It's across the board right now.
Hmm.
I'm curious if they had passed a law requiring mandating everybody to take the vaccine. Not that it's a right or wrong whether you took it or not, how the public would react. Because I think that the vast majority of people would have reacted to a mandate like that. Don't tell me what to do with my body,
Oh yeah.
and that coincides with what's going on possibly with the reversal of being able to have a abortion.
So
It's
it's
a
the same thing, A Money. They just didn't use the verbiage of law. Because
Hmm.
you got people who aren't working, they don't have a job. You got people who are trying to get another job that is not remote, and that's a requirement. And they let you know when they're interviewing you, there's a requirement that if you're not vaccinated, you have to be vaccinated.
so
Right.
let me ask you both this: what impacts do you see if this was enacted? How would this? How do you see this affecting the family structure or a woman themselves?
Mm.
I think you know what that's man, you're on fire tonight.
Right.
Um, I think it would. I think somewhat would affect the family structure. It's interesting because basically what society, well, what the government is saying is that abortions are not legal across the board. So anything could happen. So a family who knows, like say a husband and a wife, they have 3 or 4 kids already, and they're stretched already financially. So while them being stretched financially already, another child is about to become on the way.
That oops, baby.
Oops, baby. So then you're telling that family that they should not. But then the irony is, throwing this as a curveball, if you go to China, their laws is like what, 2.5 kids?
Yes.
And they are strict about that, but that's been over a course of years. So like their society has not really embraced it, but they've become used to it,
And
So
you hit it dead on the head, society. We live in a quote unquote democracy. And 60% of the people that have been polled in the United States agree with the availability of abortions. So why aren't they listening to the will of the people?
Because it's only convenient when they pushing their own agenda. They only care about the people when the people is pushing the agenda. They don't want to. This is going to have all kinds of fallout because I remember the Plan B pill.
Right. Yep.
Was like $600 back in the day.
Yep.
Now you can get it at CVS.
Well, not only that, remember it was $600 and you had to go to the doctor.
Yeah, you had to get a prescription for it.
You had to get seen, go through the whole everything.
Yeah.
In order to get the prescription, in order to get that particular pill. Now, like you said, you can go and just get it.
You can get it and it's not a problem. And I see the Plan B price increasing again. I see those who impregnate young women just being able to do what they want to do. I see a lot of people and a lot of women feeling like their back is against the wall of this past, where now you're going to have some deaths because they're going to not go to a professional. They're going to go to the back alleys, the underground clinics to get it done like it used to be done back in the day, especially for women of color. I just see it impacting women of color as anything in this country, just being more detrimental to us, because you can try to prevent pregnancy. Look, like Terry was just saying, that getting pregnant is preventable. A lot of women use abortion as a form of birth control, and it was never meant for that. This is true, but both of my daughters are birth control pills. Now, was it 100% where my husband was strapped up and I was taking a pill? It was not. But let's be honest, especially when you have a long life sex partner or a sex partner that's supposed to be exclusive, usually one or the other is what's being done. So Terry, to that point, I agree completely. It is preventable. And we do know girls, I'm a lot older than you. I was about to say, do know girls in the 90s, but you was probably just born. But we do know girls back in the day who was using abortion as forms of a birth control and not trying to exercise birth control or abstinence. It's just going to be bad, because honestly, if you look at the poll and you look at the percentages of women that are still having abortions, it has dropped tremendously from, like, I think that they did a poll from like 1978 or something like that, or 1970. No, it was 88 or something like that. It's dropped tremendously of the amount of people who are women that were getting abortions. But I think that's due to being better educated about sexual protection, pregnant preventions, having it more readily available, the Plan B pill. I think all of these things play a major role in the fact that abortion used to kind of only be the only thing that you could do. I just see that I just think it's going to be bad, because I really don't feel like it's about abortion. There's a whole nother reason on why they're trying to do this. Because once you tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body, then you're opening up the gate to tell me, you say what I can't do, you're going to tell me what I can. That then goes into you controlling population, you controlling what they would consider, I know this is an ignorant term, but mixed breeding with interracial families, same-sex marriage. Like, this is going to open up a whole door. Like, it's really not about the abortion. It's about the back part, because they always have a major law to get everybody up in the uproar and get them distracted. And you don't even understand. There's like so many other bylaws that's attached to that once it gets approved, all of that gets approved, that you don't even understand what happened. And I think that's what it is.
Yeah. That decision, Roe versus Wade, has been upheld for the last 50 years. The slippery slope right now, if you overturn something that was given or acknowledged as a liberty of a woman's right, then what other things are left to come that could possibly be overturned that's been upheld for years or decades or even just recently? That's the slippery slope.
What can you amend to this? Hey, you know what? We don't want women being able to commit murder. So now you're going to tell me, oh, as a Black woman, I don't think that you deserve this tier of health care because it's been shown that you can get Tylenol without codeine because your tolerance for pain is higher. It sounds idiotic and stupid, but it's in medical books that women of color have a higher tolerance of pain. Who told you that? It sounds like it's something that, Melissa, you just talking crazy. These are the things that I'm talking about. And it's the women of color that suffer the most when these type of changes take place in our democracy, our world, our law, our judicial system. We are the ones that get it the worst. And I'm thinking about my daughters and my younger cousins who are under 5. What does this look like for them when they're getting ready to become old enough to date and start their families? What are you telling me?
Jerry said, I've asked this question to many people and never got a legit answer. When a woman gets pregnant and the man doesn't want it, then he's a deadbeat. However, if a woman doesn't want the baby, then she's making a good life decision. How is that fair? I totally understand oops babies. It does happen. It's happened. But we could have doubled up and we didn't, and ultimately knew the risk.
Correct. As a woman, I'll speak to you on that, Terry. Grandma always said, and I think everybody always heard it say, mama's baby's daddy's maybe. That not only means paternal, it also means if he wants it, because it has just been a thing with the history that if a man does not want a baby, he can walk away. You can't. So when a woman makes that decision to say, hey, you know what? I don't want this baby. I'm going to, go ahead and have an abortion. She's making a decision based on maybe a bad choice. Maybe she got through for a loop completely, didn't know that the dude was like going to walk away. I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of different things that could happen. And I feel like a woman is just as capable to make that decision, to say, I do not want this baby. I don't want to be pregnant. That's what it is. It's they're focusing on a baby, but some women don't want to be pregnant. Who wants to go through 9 months and all of that to get a baby up for adoption?
Wow.
So you get a chance to not only, you terminate the pregnancy, which terminates the baby, but it's saying you are terminating this pregnancy in all of your medical charts, all of your medical verbiage in your words. That's what it says.
I think it's rather interesting, and of course, if you guys are tuning in, so what you're talking about Wednesday, the first topic to come up, of course, is the leak that occurred with Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court. Everybody's up in arms right now. There's been a lot of people protesting. There has been some arrests, but you see a lot of women that are protesting right now because they feel, this is my body. For a law to come into effect and tell me what I can do with my body with the various circumstances. And if you don't know, circumstances can be, yes, she's a career woman, and she had a great night one night, but unfortunately, oops, and she doesn't want to have the child. There's been other instances in which women, unfortunately, have been objects of desires by some very sick individuals, and because of such, they are now pregnant. And not only the shame that they have to deal with that, but a lot of times women feel as though when I'm looking at this young person, it is constantly reminding me of what was done to me, forceful.
Right. And
So,
as A Money said, no kind of exemptions.
right. I mean, and then you have, women who have tried so many times to get pregnant, and the pregnancy is actually threatening their life. And the doctor tells them, listen, if you go full term, you could deliver this baby and die, or the both of you could die. Right. There are so many different scenarios that are occurring. And what women are saying right now is, how dare you tell me what I can do with my body, right? The body that I'm given, that I'm carrying this child for full term, past full term, sometimes prematurely. And because of such, I have to now take care of this child, and it's not fair to the child. There's so many different things and such. And I think, it's like brother said, 50 years and now y'all want to do this?
If they pass the law and you get pregnant and you got to have a baby and you do a blood test and that's the baby daddy, then he needs to get a vasectomy.
Wow.
How about do that amendment?
Wait a minute.
Wow.
How about do that amendment? Since you telling me what I can do with my body, because vasectomies are a quick procedure, it's a little bit of downtime, and if and when it's time for you to want to have children again, then that means you are financially stable. That means you don't have any type of health issues, no type of health risk. You are anticipated to have a long life. So you can go ahead and get your vasectomy. And when it's time for you to get married or it's time for you to have kids and start your family, then we'll reverse the vasectomy. I don't see any of those laws.
Quick question. Because I'm a loss for this one. And y'all may or may not know, how many women are justices on the Supreme Court? Is it 2?
I think it's 2.
I think it's 2.
And the rest are male. And that's what I find hypocritical right there. That is something that a man, from a male's perspective, should not be dabbling in, especially if it was already put into law previously and upheld previously. And that's, gosh, I'm starting to get mad thinking about it more. The more I'm talking about it, because it is very hypocritical when a male actually overstate their boundaries to address what they think a woman should be able to do and what a woman should not be able to do.
Yeah.
Just to give you a little more facts, since I know you like them, A Money. Correct. There's only 2. Out of 115, there's only been 5.
Yep.
Wow.
And if you paid attention to the recent sister that they were trying to grill over an open fire, who is now the next Supreme Court justice. If you really listen to the days in which they were talking to her, one of the questions came up was in regards to Planned Parenthood and such. And I think they were fishing then.
They were.
They were fishing then just to see if we can get this done before she gets in.
Yep.
Because they knew if they got her in, it was a wrap.
And that's why it's been expedited. And that's why this leak was so important to happen.
Yep.
Do you not understand that they did this with no advertisement, no type of warning, no type of holding counsel? If the leak wouldn't have had happened, they would have then just seen bulletins, you would have seen ribbons, and that would have been it. Like, it would have just been a done deal.
Yeah.
And they would have hurried up and ushered in this bill and approved it before Miss Brown got there.
Trav says, seems like at the end of the day, it's about fighting for the right to party. A woman's virtue is that it's all-time low, and the general ideas of sex is meaningless and animalistic. Sex makes babies. We take away moral responsibilities of sex. My abortion becomes an escape of accountability. Whoa. Well, Trav, dropping it. Mic drop. Okay, Trav.
I believe what he says and what Terry says, but that is always the argument when people want to make abortion sound so bad. They want to, they just use them for birth control, or they don't want to be accountable for their actions. But abortions were to end and terminate the pregnancies. And there's so many other reasons on why it's done and why it was an option to do so. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that I don't know a girl, a woman, whoever that, use it for a form of birth control or use it for a form to be like, oop, I made a mistake. That was bad. But it's not an easy thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When you have a conscience, you have a moral compass, it's not easy to do in the next day, and it haunts you. Mm-hmm. Do you push through it? Do you do what you do? Yeah, absolutely. But, let's not just get too much where it's like, oh, these women are just out here doing this, because that's getting caught up in the rhetoric of how they're trying to push the reason why this bill needs to be passed in the first place.
Right.
And a lot of the more recent justices that went through their confirmation, a lot of them were asked about Roe versus Wade and their feeling on it. Now, the vast majority of them, the ones that are, well, let me not say the ones that's pushing it, because I don't know the ones that's actually pushing it. I have ideas, but a lot of them danced around it. They didn't agree with it or disagree with it. Hence, a lot of people of Congress right now are saying that they lied in their confirmations by not messing with Roe versus Wade. So I say that to say this: it's important to vote. I don't care whether you think that it doesn't matter. It does. You put these people in legislation that actually push these type of judges through. It's important for you to vote the people that have your same ideas.
Yeah.
I can't say that enough.
Yeah.
It is. Our judicial system and our politicians, it's chess.
It is.
It's a joke. It's a game.
If you think about it too, there were like 3 associate justices that were appointed by Trump during his tenure. I'm in here now doing a little research. I'm pulling a money right now, and it's some good reading. But it's so interesting that you have the last one was Amy Coney Barrett. Now, if y'all remember her, she's the woman she was the last one. She actually took her seat in 2020, and she's the one that came in with all these kids. She got 7 kids.
Right.
And they were asking her very same thing, as far as Roe versus Wade, her position and such. And she came with a lot of flack as well. Brett Kavanaugh came in as an associate, and then Neil M. Gorsuch as well. Those 3 came in by means of Trump. Now, the other ones that came in beforehand, of course, you got Obama. He brought in Elena Kagan. He also brought in Sonia Sotomayor, 2 additional females. So you got 3 women that are on there. And then you got Samuel A. Alito. He came in during Bush.
Yep.
So now think about this. The ones that took position, the majority of the ones that took position were from the Republicans. And only 3 others came in under the Obama administration.
Yep.
So this is going to be very interesting. Very, very interesting.
And it's only Clarence Thomas and Ms. Brown that are African American. Right.
So I was doing something else, looking as far as just, hey, when it comes to abortions, like who, we get involved with race. Race always comes up and such, but it says like back in 2019, 33% of the women in the United States that did abortions were white. 38% were black. 7% was other, and you got 21% that were Hispanic. So as Sis was mentioning, this truly, truly affects those of color when you're looking at abortions. And it's because, and here's the thing, let's go ahead and play devil's advocate. When you look at, Trav even mentioned it. Hold on. Let me bring up what Trav mentioned. Trav says Planned Parenthood was created with a racial undertone to slow the black birth rate down. Now we are fighting for the very thing created to hurt us. How did the tables turn with our thinking and position? How much of this is racially motivated today?
Absolutely.
Trav, on the money. Because when you look at areas in which individuals of color reside in, okay, and you look at the type of health care that is prevalent to those areas, and you look also at the educational system that is prevalent in those areas, you got to think about it. It's totally different. And I stand by this all the time. You cannot tell me that the kids in South Park has as much difficulty as the kids in North Charlotte. I'm sorry. I'm not going to believe that, because it is a great disparity that is going on. And that disparity, it adds up. It adds up to those young ladies who are not getting, they may not be getting the education that they need to fully understand sex. Hence the reason why we have our show, and we always have a sex therapist or a sex professional on it. So hopefully it'll teach some things that you can take to your people. But think about it. This thing is just, there are undertones to this. There's something hidden behind the scenes that Sis said. And when it comes out, it's going to be amazing. And I think it's going to cause a huge ruckus.
White America wants white America back.
Right.
And they want to be in control, and they want to be the ones that have, quote unquote, the upper hand. So you have certain white Americans that are in powers and in positions, or just rich, wealthy, that pushes these agendas. And as long as white America did not feel like the minority, they were okay with things being the way that they were. Now that they don't feel like they're the majority, and they're starting to feel the minority, and they're starting to feel the privilege slip away, they revert back to the very thing that their ancestors did. And history repeats itself. And it is a known fact that if you don't know it, you will repeat it. Well, guess what? They know it, and they're intentionally repeating it. And so you want to talk about the racial and having some type of an undertone, it's right there, and it's been there all the time. It is to make sure that if we're not going to be the majority, we're going to have the power.
But isn't it somewhat interesting though that in spite of a president that caused so much ruckus and drama and things of that nature, that certain individuals will wait until his administration is gone in order to bring up something like this, to actually challenge something that has been on the books for over 50 years.
Where you had a clown that would have pushed it on through, But again, that would not have created the distraction. Don't forget that. This is a distraction. This is a distraction. This is to make everyone pay so much attention that they're not understanding what's going on behind the curtain.
Hey, money's thinking. I can see the wheels turning.
Yep.
I'm about over it right now. It's Hmm. I'm gonna keep some of that to myself right now. Um,
Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on to the next topic. I
Okay.
have to see how you guys felt in our ATRT family. How did you feel about the news break of the young gentleman rushing the stage of David Chappelle? Uh, and I watched a snippet at the time of this happening. So this was not a personal joke towards anything or anyone particularly. He's in the middle of a monologue saying a joke, and this guy runs and rush. He has a gun. It was a toy gun, but he was threatening. He was intentionally going to make a statement.
Mhm.
So off camera, I told my brothers that I didn't really like that they're saying, "Hey, look what Will Smith started." Um, I do understand, drawing the parallel to it, but I really think this is a sign of our times where you have a lot of people who are either trying to be social media famous, truly, truly having some mental instabilities, or they're feeling like, oh, okay, well, I don't like what you said, so I'm gonna rush the stage. And I feel like it's a mix of all three. So if someone who's not being a comedian, but maybe making a public speech, are you going to rush the stage if they say something that you don't like? Um, if someone may be performing, say for instance, I do a cover of an R. Kelly song, and you don't particularly like R. Kelly anymore because of what happened to R. Kelly, are you going to rush the stage because I'm doing a cover of an R. Kelly song? Like, I mean, there is really there's no kind of filter about this. This behavior is going to happen. If you want to say it's because of Will Smith, whatever. But I just think that's just where we are right now in society. Like everyone's being implemented back into the norm. And these 2 years, 2.5 years of a pandemic, you're about to see who really, truly is stable and who isn't.
Mm.
well, mental health is real out here in these streets.
Mental health is real out here in these streets. The
It's
lack
real.
of it is real.
Again, I agree with everything that you just stated. Um, it's coming to be a reckoning. When you have things sewn into you,
Mhm.
especially young people. With again, I keep harping on this with the stuff that they see in media, social media platforms, movies, TV shows, music.
Mhm.
It's that one genre of what's being promoted right now more so than any other genre, and that's complete violence, a disregard for uh, governance, respect, individuality. Is that kind of segues way into the political topic that we just got through segueing from. It's being sown. Even
Yep,
even politicians don't act the way that they used to with
correct.
with uh, just common human decency. And
Right.
when you got people who's leading the country that you put in the office that's acting like that, then you can only imagine that the rest of society is going to follow suit.
Yeah.
Very good point. Very
Yep.
good point. I want to bring up the Trav mentioned this. He said middle class teenagers living on the good side of town have more freedom than poor kids in the hood. Joe's middle class children have more expectations due to classism. They are having more sex and getting pregnant at a higher rate and getting more abortions. Can you imagine how many high school, college girls are having abortions solely because of disappointment due to expectations? Good point. Very good
And
point.
not only is it one sided with colorism and racism, it's one sided with sexism because I can't tell you how many girls I went to high school with. They got pregnant and they had to go to the alternative school, but the guy who got them pregnant did. And these are guys who went to our school. They still got to play football. And I don't think that's fair. If you got her pregnant, then you need to have to step out and go to alternative learning as well. And this is why it's a quote unquote man's world, because there's always been rules that just totally negate the accountability. Talk about lack of accountability. It totally negates the accountability that it takes two to tango.
That's true. That's true. It's you can't have it both ways. It's either right or wrong. I totally agree with you, and I know probably it was a lot of backlash with parents at that time that didn't want their children seeing another young lady walking down a hall pregnant.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't make it right by isolating her or putting her or taking her away from
Her friends and such.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing: if the conviction of that is so strong that you do send her to an alternative school until she has the baby, then the dude should have to do that as well.
I agree.
If he's in school, even if they're not in the same school, if he's a young man, you know they've been messing around or whatever, then he needs to go.
I can totally agree with that.
Wow. Yeah.
Because I promise you, if they would have done that, there would have been a lot less multiple baby mamas and daddies.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Can't ostracize one side and not expect it looking on it realistically not to affect someone else. You can't have it both ways like that. It's either one way or the other. And
look at corporate America, guys. When was it where corporate America recognized men, fathers, to have maternity leave as well? What year did that take place?
Ooh, good point.
There was that time it was just for the woman. It was, it wasn't never said that you couldn't take it, but it was never really like, hey, you have this right as well that you get 6 weeks too. Like,
good point. Very good point.
But I don't know if I want to go to a comedy show. I'm actually going to one on Saturday. I hope nobody. I hope that we don't have any incidents.
Yeah.
Where someone is trying to say,
I think it's people. I mean, if you think about it, and this is kind of segueing from the Dave Chappelle situation that happened, but here's the thing: people are now starting to become more animalistic or more base in their desires and in their actions and such. Prime example, they just had on the news. Okay, everybody knows the terminology Karen and Ken.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what it gravitates to, you know what it alludes to, and they just showed this one woman who literally held up the plane because her mask. She didn't want to wear a mask on the plane. And of course, because of, what was just announced, hey, it's a free for all. You can wear your mask if you want to or not. But there are some airlines that are saying, we're going to still mandate this mask off. So she's on the plane and she gets upset because, of course, flight attendants are telling her to put on your mask and such. So she gets upset. She's going ballistic. She's cursing. She's showing out. She's pointing at people saying, you wear a mask, you must be a Democrat, blah, 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 just going off or whatever. So because of such, they had to, of course, kick her off the plane. But it holds everybody else up. That's just one instance. Then you've got other instances in which people like that feels as though that their liberties are challenged. So my liberty is challenged. So I'm just going to go into this store, and because I'm upset at you, I'm going to throw over your display. I'm going to throw this smoothie at your 16-year-old child who works here part-time. I'm just going to do all these things. It seems like people are just like, they're not caring. They're just doing whatever. You even got instances in which people in New York, one city, New York, are just going up on either homeless people or people walking down the street and just hitting them, just physically abusing them, whatever the case may be. And it's like, why? What did that person do to you? So it just seems like people are just I don't know.
I'm telling you, it's media. It's media.
It's a
I'm
lot
gonna
of
get.
it's a lot of bunkers, and there's a lot of influence. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I mean, A Money, let me ask you this. I don't know how to put this question.
Mhm.
So if social media is a very strong influence, um, there are some positive
Mhm.
uh social media, and I feel like it's balanced. I just feel like the way that the algorithm works, it just makes it all the bad stuff come up. But I mean, there's just a lot of good things out there as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is it? Is it now that you feel that our appetite is just drawn for the bad stuff?
I
Mhm.
think it is being purposely displayed to us to desensitize us and
Mm,
uh, and act out like we see on social media and on TV. I'll give you an example real quick. Um, of late, I've been watching Little House on the Prairie. Don't judge, no judge free zone. But I
on
bring,
bounce,
huh?
on bounce. This.
Hallmark, and it's another channel that they show it on.
Ooh,
But
mm,
I
mm,
bring this up. I bring this up for one reason.
Mhm.
About 80% of their shows reflect church and talk about prayer and talk about God. Now, let me ask you this. With that being said, how many
Mhm.
shows are on TV that are allowed to even talk about God anymore?
they can't unless they're talking about. So if they do talk about God,
Mm-hmm.
they have to have the other side of the atheist.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
They have to have this all inclusive, all encompassing kind of show.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Morality. I mean, even touching on morality, it rarely
correct.
it's some shows out there like that,
Oh,
few and
remember
far in
Touched
between.
by Angel?
That one too. That one
Oh,
too.
that used to be my show.
And these are long running shows. So
Very long.
why all of a sudden the change? And you again, that's why I said you reap what you sow. What you
This
put
was
out there is going to be an indicator later on of what that individual or society is going to reflect and remember on and act out.
I
Mhm.
think I was in the fourth grade, maybe third, going to elementary school in Montgomery, Alabama, when I think it was the fourth, when they were like, we're no longer going to say prayer. We used to say prayer before we went to
Mm,
lunch,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
we were no longer saying prayer before we went to lunch. I think I
Mhm.
was in the fourth grade. I think so. That was 84. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was like 1984 is when they took prayer out of school. It might have been a little earlier than that because I do remember in Montgomery going to my school. I remember at least from kindergarten to second grade before lunch, we all had to put our stuff up and we all would pray. Then we would all line up and we would go to the cafeteria.
I'm
We
telling you
would
that.
say grace.
I'm telling you that makes a big difference. Good to when you're exposed to certain type of uh, um, moralities growing up when you're young, you plant that seed. 9 times out of 10, it's gonna carry with you as an adult. When you're being exposed to a lot of this negativity, a lot of this violence, getting used to seeing people or kids on TV, on the news bringing guns, you're gonna mirror that or possibly mirror that as
Mhm.
something as as what is normalized or normal today. That's why you still see an influx of people bringing guns to school. I mean, it just touches a wide range of everything. That's why I said I think a lot of it is intentionally being set off on society.
Mhm.
Right.
For
Yeah.
what reason, I don't know, but I'm sure it's an end game to it.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beat. Highway to Heaven. That was the other one.
Highway to Heaven. Yep.
Highway
Highway
to
to
Heaven.
Heaven
Mm-hmm.
with
Yeah.
dude
Michael Landon.
from Little House on the Prairie. I can't remember his name.
Michael Landon. Yeah.
Yep.
Michael Landon, yeah.
Yeah. That
Mm-hmm.
was a very good one. And it's interesting because they did a reboot of that as a movie. Jill Scott
Oh, really?
Yeah.
is the angel. Yeah.
I
It was
missed
on
that.
Yeah.
Lifetime.
Yeah, yeah.
I have to
Well,
look that one up.
look it up. Yeah. And here's the thing, like you mentioned though, you didn't hear a lot about it. You hear too. I mean, it's like it wasn't really pushed, and it's different. Again, it's different agendas that are out here, and the way society is right now, or better yet, executives that are in media that are really pushing the envelope because of the almighty dollar. It seems like those things take precedence. Now, shows like that, there's been a bunch of shows that have come out that have been faith-based. And you really don't hear too much about them unless you go and get access to the different channels. Like, you can go on Prime, Amazon Prime. There's some that'll come on there. You can go on Tubi. There are some that'll come on there as well. TV One. There's different alternative channels that are trying to develop a good base, and they've got some good attendance as well. But that's where you see those shows. Kind of sidebar. Today is May 4th. Y'all know what today is, right?
Yes. May the fourth be with you.
The 4th be with you. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. And I think it's so cool that you even brought that up, bro. That you watch Little House on the Prairie.
I'm not
Hey
surprised
man,
at all.
those are some those shows are some tear jerkers, boy.
Neither one of us said, gasp. You do? We were not surprised at all.
Because Little House on the Prairie. Man.
I miss it's simple logic, and again, it's always a message, a positive message at the end of the show.
Right.
That's the thing I miss.
Yeah. Well, shows like that, kind of like sidebarring y'all, because it is what you're talking about Wednesday. Okay. Shows like that really touch the human spirit.
Yes.
And it allows us to kind of look at our own situation. We talk about Little House on the Prairie. We can fast forward several years or whatever sort, and let's talk about good times. In which you have the individuals that have so less, but they make the most of it, and they keep the family unit together. And I think that's something.
Absolutely.
That's something missing.
Having a Generation Z, having two people in my house that are Generation Z, they're like, there's no way I would tune in every week to watch Black people struggle, because you don't know what that's like. You can't relate.
That's it.
It's not relatable to you because your mindset, you're like, well, why don't they just move? Or why don't they just do da-da-da? Like, you can't relate to the struggle.
Right.
So I kind of felt good about that, but I was like, okay, we need to, and I don't feel like I raised my kids to be disconnected or, illusional about things, but like we had to have a conversation. Like, okay, back in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, like this is what people had to do. Right. But you were also given an opportunity to make something better of yourselves because you had the labor force jobs that were available to you. And you could make a decent living because everything kind of was balanced out. I let them know your great grandfather worked in the steel mill in Pittsburgh, and he was able to do what he did, how he needed to do. Your great great grandfather had the first stores in Amelia Courthouse and were sharecroppers and pretty much worked on a dairy farm and was blessed to work with an honest white man that let that land that he worked become his as owner. So these are the conversations and these are the stories that I share with my daughters to let them know, like, we're talking about entertainment, but it's not that far removed from your ancestry.
That's right.
I was a single kid with my single mom, and it was hard times on the boulevard at times. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know anything about that. You don't know anything about your mom looking at you, and it was like a $4 field trip, and it's $4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what that's like, where your mama like, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of I was, clowning Egg Money, but I put those shows on. Being as somebody that likes all that kind of stuff, Jeffersons, go back into that nostalgic moment. And there was a lot of substance to seeing Black people on TV as well.
Man, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this on another What You're Talking About Wednesday, where if it's Black people, if it's considered a Black show and just not regular entertainment, but it's considered a Black show, it's either so far off that there's not a Black person in the writing room, or they're really good. So, shouts out and tears to the cast of Blackish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they've gone. It's good for them to leave out on a high note.
Right.
But I mean, where you're gonna get that type of family dynamic, and they covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they still covered it in a way that was a positive, educational influence to all that was watching.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in entertainment, you need that balance, because I'm sure everyone, listening or whatever, you have the shows in which you got the grit and the grimy, you got the fabulous life, and you've got, the money being thrown and all this other stuff. And then you got the intrigue, and you've got the, decisiveness and the evil and stuff. But then when you have shows like that brings a lot of what's going on in our society to the forefront, and it teaches us. It's humorous at times, so therefore we can laugh at our pain. And then on top of that, to be a foundation for hopefully our children to go back and say, hey, I used to watch the Blackish. And then you got their kids talking about Blackish. Ooh, what's that? Is that, ooh, what was that about? That don't even sound right. And then you take that opportunity to educate them. You're like, hey, Blackish was blah, 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 blah. And your granddad,
and they're watching. They have that luxury and the advantage to watch that. And I know I'll speak to my daughters, and you guys, probably your kids are the same, where they're like streaming all this old stuff like it's brand new. I'm like, that's not brand new. Mom, did you used to watch this? I'm like, I did. Because they're looking for substance at this point.
Right.
Because when your social media accounts and videos mirror what's coming through your television, what's the point?
Or it's the same old, same old. It's the
same old. I'm so tired of the white shows with the one Black dude that work in IT that get to hang out with them. I'm so tired of this formula. Hollywood, can you please step out the box?
Right.
Or the Black girl who acts white, or the Black girl who acts Black. Like it's one or the other. And they get to hang out with the white people. Like, I'm so tired of that formula when it comes down to making a show about friends or community or business or whatever. Like, it's boring.
Yeah. Or the backstabbing, or the, hey, we're Black and we got money and stuff. But yeah, all of us sisters are going to take a trip and we're going to go overseas just to go over there to act the fool and throw wine at each other and curse each other out, and then come back home and try to be amicable. Yeah, stuff like that. I think it's getting old, but you know what? That is the template. That is the blueprint for the money that's being made out here. How dare you come in here with a show that portrays a family unit that love each other, in which the dad has a great job, the mom has a wonderful job, they still interact with their kids, and the kids have some struggles, but they come back to the parents and actually talk to them about what's going on. And by the way, they actually help the kids' best friend to become successful and to love themselves. How dare you come in with that?
Right.
You don't want that. No, let's have a get married in 2 hours. Let's do that. That's money.
I want to talk about the Met Gala real quick.
Uh-oh.
The who?
Because there's different items. So you want to talk about racism. Oh, racism. You guys are still talking about racism. So there's different Vogue people, like these different magazines that have very different write-ups about Sarah Jessica Parker's dress.
Yep.
So people literally is kind of like glossing over the whole intention of her dress and where the inspiration came from. Meanwhile, Vogue covers it differently. However, the gentleman who did create the dress, there's a part, let me find it. There's a part that he says that rubbed me the wrong way. And I was just like, he's probably really young. So it doesn't matter. But she did a dress to pay homage to a unsung Black designer who did a lot of dresses for the social elites in DC and the White House first ladies. And he made a statement and he says, it's because she was a small designer that she was not really recognized for her talent. I was like, the designer's name is Elizabeth Hobbs Keckley, who did fabulous design. She was the first Black designer in the White House.
Yep.
She's a former slave from Virginia that moved to DC. And so, you know, he goes, she was a small designer and someone that people really didn't talk about. While that is semi-true, she was not talked about because she was a Black former slave, plain and simple. It wasn't that, oh, she was unrecognized because she didn't get her name out there. That had nothing to do with it. She was Black. And so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. However, Vogue did justice to make sure that they paid homage to Miss Keckley. And the whole point and the whole reason behind Sarah Jessica Parker picking this type of dress and picking this style of dress to go to the Met Gala, where people in Vanity Fair literally glossed over and did not include any of that Black history at all. So I just thought that was interesting. And people are always saying, you always want to throw the race card. Or you always want to, yeah, this is why. Because how do you, I promise you, if it was a German or a Jewish designer or whatever, they would have made sure they put those facts in there. You would be kind of reading the same story over and over and over again. So I just thought that was interesting. How really I've only read Vogue that gave and paid homage and also tribute to Miss Keckley as her being the first Black designer for the White House and the socialites of that time.
Wow, appreciate you sharing that. I didn't know about that.
Yep. And everybody was all ready for Kenny Cakes to get into Marilyn's dress. Everybody was just like, ooh, and on and stuff. What? She's going to put on the dress? The dress?
My uncle always said, you can put a skunk.
Whoa, wait a minute.
I'll just put it like this. You can dress it up, but it's still going to stink.
Oh, no.
I thought you were going to say pig on the lipstick on a pig. Boy, she said skunk, though, bro.
That's that other persuasion people that say that. We say, yeah. So I'll keep it high level. He just said you could dress up a skunk, but it's still gonna stink. So I so wasn't impressed with her in the dress. Wasn't impressed because I like Marilyn Monroe. I like what even though she was still a white woman, she still had a broader mind for women. And as inclusive as she could be during that time, then a lot of people, and I was a little, I was just like, ugh, like, how can you even wear her dress? Like, you're not standing up for anything that Marilyn Monroe stood for. Like, nothing.
Mhm. Yeah, she
I
said
was so unimpressed.
she had to lose weight. She had to put a sweatsuit on, or what is it, a sauna suit on for
sauna
2
suit.
weeks and
I
dieted
was
and
so
all kinds
unimpressed
of
with
stuff just to
her
get in
coming
there.
out with that dress.
What was this? Some type of award show that I missed?
The Met Gala this
The
year.
Met Gala.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
That's when you know fashion is wide open at the Met
Okay.
Gala.
It
And
was Gilded Glamour, I think, was this
yeah,
year's
yeah,
theme.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's an opportunity for a lot of designers to really come out with like different designs that they've done specifically for the Met Gala. In other words, it's not like a dress that you can go buy or whatever sort. They actually will take time. Literally after the Met Gala, they're already starting to design for next year's Met Gala certain
And
fabrics and
it's
stuff.
meant to
The
be
theme,
exaggerated.
yeah,
You
it's
know.
very exaggerating, and it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. Um, Unfortunately, Regina, she didn't make it. Yeah, definitely shouts out to her. Hope she's okay. Because they were anticipating, this has been the first public event that she would have been in attendance to since her son's passing. And
Yeah.
yeah, she didn't attend. There was a lot of people that didn't attend. Rihanna got a statue though.
Oh, nice.
Rihanna is giving much. Here's the irony. Okay, so much going on about Roe versus Wade, but Rihanna has been rocking pregnancy. Like, she's telling people being pregnant is beautiful.
I didn't even know she was pregnant. Hey, I've been detached.
That's because you watched Little House on the Prairie. You wouldn't know that Rihanna was pregnant. Like, everybody knows Rihanna is pregnant.
Again, I thought this was a no judge free zone, but I knew that was gonna come back up to bite me.
Yeah, man, you shouldn't have said that. Yeah,
She's definitely giving you the embracing. And again, it's about how you've been trained. You have to retrain your brain because we was taught, oh, pregnant woman shouldn't show her stomach. Why?
right.
Please tell me, what does it do?
Yeah. I mean,
It's sacred and don't nobody need to be seeing that shit.
My cousin just came in. She said it's sacred. You ain't nobody need to be seeing it. That's traditional thinking.
Yeah, they are spending money. Like you go into these stores and you see so many stores that have all of this wear for maternity wear, basically. And they have gone above and beyond. But if you really think about it, I mean, it's being a woman pregnant is a beautiful thing. It is life. It is, and it's amazing how Rihanna has carried it to the point in which, she's like, hey,
it's our superpower.
You don't want to share that? Watch this. My belly's gonna be glossed up, and I'm gonna have on this little halter top half top on. And I'm gonna rock my shorts. And she was out like after the Oscars. She's out at an after party or whatever sort, and then just chilling, But she's taking her time and stuff. So I think it's amazing. And I hope that she sets the trend so women don't feel so body shamed by being pregnant. Girl, throw some cocoa butter on them marks and let it go. Enjoy yourself.
All abnormal and shaped and everything. Look, I know we getting close to closing time, but the other thing I want to throw out for what you want to talk about Wednesday, we need to go back to a previous show. Brittany Renner. All of a sudden, now they're saying, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that. However, we were told, WNBA players were told, oh no, because it's a sensitive thing and we're at war and we don't want you to really say anything and cause an uproar because they could use her as a point of object of the war. You just didn't want us, because she was Black and a WNBA player. You didn't care. Now all of a sudden you got attorney that used to be attorney for justice courts, all this, doing interviews and talking about how Russia's known for planting drugs and this, that, and the other on Americans. Where was all this in February? Where was all this knowledge in February? Where was all this coming from in February? She's been over there since February.
Yep.
They just released a picture since February of this woman. Now all of a sudden, we need to get together. Everybody need to be told. Lisa Leslie is like, oh, because this is coming from strategists who you're like, well, I don't want to put her in a compromising situation because we're in the middle of this war. So you're listening to these fools telling you, hey, don't say nothing. Let's not get an uproar. We don't want her to become an object of the war and draw our attention to her and have unfair treatment and justice and things like that. Meanwhile, it wasn't a priority, because now all of a sudden it ain't a problem. So I mean, what? Once again, as Trav says, and you want to say that racism isn't, because it could have been an ordinary Karen Becky that got caught up in customs, and you best believe, war going on or not, they would have been doing something to get her back home, or at least got her to a different country if they didn't even release her, like send her back to the U.S.
Right. Well, I'm play real salty right now. I'm mad at Dennis Rodman because Dennis, you ran over to Korea in order to kind of like, you know, set the peace and everything like that. Here is a WNBA player. You could have went over there and been a diplomat, which is what you were trying to do several years ago, in order to try to see what's going on with this young sister and get her home. I'm just throwing it out.
I don't even know why Dennis Rodman.
Him and Kim Jong-un were like this. Nah.
Yeah, like I have no respect for you. I don't want you going over there for her because you would sell out. Nah, I'm good.
I'm being bad. I'm sorry. I'm stirring the tea again. But anyway.
Just a reminder, is everyone against
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard.
Ooh.
Somebody posted a dog where he had ripped up the garbage and he had a cardboard sign that said Amber Heard did it.
Golly. I'm gonna tell you.
I've been knew that chick was shady. I knew she was shady. Like, and Johnny Depp is my dude. Like, that is my guy.
Yeah.
I knew she was shady.
It's unfortunate. I mean, and that, I guess that's another thing too, for it to be put on, for it to go to the courts like this, and it's on public display, and all this stuff is coming out. It really tells you that, you know what, celebrities, they're messy too. I mean, just because they make multi-million dollars and have box office hits and things of that nature, behind the scenes, closed doors, they can be just as messy. And then on top of it, they're bringing in everybody else's mess. You know, he's like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, we did.
Yeah, she did your typical privilege. Oh my God, he hurt me. And then they cry. Get out of here. She had got Elon Musk showing him in the elevator with her. Like, so you ain't gonna really accuse the rich dude. You gonna accuse Johnny Depp. And then you were the one that was beating him up. You were the physical abuser.
Yeah, she was the abuser. But like I said, the public will have their last say. But to me, it's just, you know, it's just unfortunate. I mean, you got my boy over here, the Vision, and he's just like, dang, Johnny's telling all our business up there. Well, he is under oath.
You gotta tell it, because there's a lot of y'all who act like y'all was his boy and you wasn't. Yeah. And as soon as, I'll just say woman, she's manipulative. And see, one thing about people who gather dirt, they don't care where it come from. Okay. So she had dirt on all of them. The reason why they were even like, okay, I ain't got nothing to say. And until that tide turned, they wasn't even trying to say anything. You ain't hear nothing about them. They wasn't speaking up. They wasn't doing nothing. All of a sudden now they in the courtroom and they're, we with Johnny and all this kind of stuff. Team Johnny, Team JD, all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Fair weather friends. I told you, give me that Chadwick Boseman circle any day. I'll take it.
Okay, money.
What a money.
Nothing.
What a money.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Well, family, it's about that time. I'm telling you, these what you talk about Wednesdays, boy. They just grow legs and run. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And we definitely appreciate everyone joining us this evening. If you get a chance, definitely share the show with other people. Stay tuned for next week. It's going to be a very interesting show. That's all we're going to put out there. And what else? What else? Oh, remember the 4th today. And there was something I was going to mention. Oh, yeah. I got to do the shout out. Yeah. Shouts out to the Happy Shack. These are my people right here. Happy Shack. Yo, I got me a shirt. They got some dope shirts there. Let me tell you, they got some dope shirts.
You just got a shirt?
Yeah, man, sure, I got 2. But they got some beautiful shirts. They also have anything dealing with CBD and kratom. And there's a couple other items that they have there that is amazing, especially if you're into alternative health and such. Just want to mellow out and chill. Definitely check them out.
Do you have an address?
Check out happyshack.com.
Happyshack.com.
Yep, check them out. Tell them CD sent you.
Love it.
Yeah, but that's it, family. We got to get ready to go. It's your boy CD.
Pitbull.
And I'm gonna leave you with this. Like my grandma used to say, pray for them, baby. Pray for everybody, even the ones that mean, how did she phrase it? Mean you harm. Pray for them anyway. Lastly, and as always, treat everybody like you want to be treated.
And on the church gonna say, yeah, man. All right.
That was good right
Def Jam. Thank you for
Deacon
those
Def
words.
You said Deacon Def Jam. He came up with that Father MC part at the end. Treat them like they want to be treated. that was on time right there. I was feeling that.
Y'all silly.
And on that note, we will see y'all later on.
Bye, family.